Did you hear about the guy who sold his house to go to the Super Bowl this year?
No.
Yeah.
Why?
He sold his house to sit on the 50-yard line. He brought a sign, and I mean, he could have been lying, but just the thought that
I sold my house to be here.
But I mean, I like to joke. It's like, okay, which one did you sell?
Yeah, which house?
Yeah.
Was it the summer home? Because if it was the summer home, I'm not impressed. Should have sold the actual home and been able to play in the game at that point.
His sign said, "I sold my house to be here. Please give me a football."
Please. This is all I want. It's totally comparable trading my house for a football ticket and a ball.
Yeah.
I don't even want it signed. I just want the football. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, there's plenty of places for the homeless to stay out there, so out in California.
Yeah. I mean, he could just set up
Show
shop
homeless.
anywhere. He could probably set up in the parking lot of the stadium, honestly, and they wouldn't do anything.
I mean, the thing he has going for him is it's not like he's homeless because he's a criminal.
No, he's just homeless by choice.
So, like, he could still get a job and
Yeah.
get money and then buy a house.
I'm just picturing. Have you seen the pictures of? So they have those like homeless people tent cities that they're built up. Have you seen the one that has a garage?
No.
They built a tent out of tarp and everything, and they made it so big and convoluted because nobody told them to leave, and they had the time to build it up so much that they could park a car in it.
Wow.
But if they're homeless, why do they have a car?
Well, I'm sure they probably paid for a beater car before they were homeless, and now they were living in their car before, but now they have a tent that they can park the car in.
There's a video of somebody who made a car out of a bike basically surrounded by trash in the shape of a car. So when it's going down the street, all you see is this big black blob.
Wow.
But he drives down the street. Drives.
Oh, imagine getting in a head-on collision with that.
That'd be fun.
You'd be fine.
Yeah, you'd
Yeah,
be dead.
totally fine.
I mean, the guy on the bike wouldn't. But
Bumps the car, just everywhere. Shotgun blast of trash.
pretty much.
The concept of being homeless is kind of dumb because you're living somewhere, aren't you? So you're not homeless.
You're not homeless. The
You
world
just-
is, you are nomadic at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Setting up shop wherever you can.
Yeah. I watched a video of this
Also,
guy.
the concept of being homeless is kind of silly to me because there are so many jobs.
Yeah.
If you would just...
Oh, no, it's fine. It's 100% by choice.
Well, most of the time, yeah.
And I was about to say, I watched a video of a guy in California who's sitting on the sidewalk in a tent, and he's just chilling, and he's got kind of a half mattress thing going on. And they were interviewing him, and they're like, "So why are you here?" He's like, "Oh, I'm here 100% by choice." And he's like, "Why would I go and work for somebody that I don't want to do, and do anything when I get paid like $1,000 a month
and
by
you don't
the
have to pay
government?"
and half the time you don't have to pay taxes on your income because it's not income, it's a donation.
The government giving you money.
Yeah, so you don't have to pay taxes.
You're making it sound more and more appealing.
I know. Trust me. You know how many times I've considered, like, how much easier would my life be if I was homeless? Very.
Well, exactly. I mean, but at the same time, you have to be.
That's what happens when you mooch off people. You don't have to. You don't owe allegiance to anybody. It's just
And
like,
he's like,
hey, it's not my fault you gave me $50 because I chose to sit on the corner of the road. Now I'm gonna spend that $50 on whatever the heck I want.
Yeah, and he's like, I just sit here and watch Netflix on my phone all day because I can pay for a
Yeah, because I can.
and buy food.
A homeless man with Netflix. Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
I got Netflix. I got a tent that I bought. It's a real nice one. And I watch Netflix and ask for and eat my cheeseburgers.
just crazy. And it's like, at this point, why do I do anything? Why do I go to work every morning and pay for all this crap?
Because
man.
life would be
Well, yeah,
depressing if you're homeless, though.
Here's the thing.
Well, not only
Here's
that.
the thing. You can have like the homeless status if you would just become completely self-sufficient and self-reliant.
Yeah, you could
If
still
you
have
go
a
to
job.
the point, yeah, you can have a job, but if you don't get paid in currency, you get paid in favors. So it's like, hey, I've got my house, I grow my own food, I have livestock or whatever, and I go out and I work on your house, and all I want in return is I want some of your vegetables or things like that. And then you have a solar powered house or something.
You mean so basically pre-modern
Pioneer.
anything.
The
Yeah.
pioneers.
Yeah.
If you go and you make your own homestead that's completely self-sufficient, you collect rainwater, you have a solar-powered house.
Yeah.
Yeah. No taxes, because you don't have an income.
Heck yeah. Taxation is theft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least we don't have state income tax.
And we really don't even get a say in what it's spent on either.
No, we don't.
I mean,
We're supposed to, but we don't. We don't even know what it goes to.
The back rooms.
It goes to
Gender
Iraq
studies
for
in
gender.
Pakistan.
Yeah, gender studies in Pakistan.
You know.
The stupidest thing I've ever heard, because that's just where they murder people who have a varying opinion on what gender is.
Yeah.
It's like, we want to educate them on how to be more progressive. And it's like, the moment you send anyone to teach them to be more progressive, that's the person they throw off the roof and record it and send it to the U.S. So why are we sending millions of dollars for gender studies in Pakistan?
It's none of our business.
It's none of our business.
It's just, our $5,500,000 that we paid into.
Heaven forbid we just redistribute that to the people because we don't have a good use for it. Can you imagine?
Well, I mean, that's why they wrote the bill.
Can you imagine it'd be like, hey guys, we're
4,000
giving
pages
everybody
long.
a tax break this year because we don't have anything that we can use it for. Can you imagine if that happened? That's impossible that it would ever occur. But can you imagine? Just an entire year where it's like, hey, you don't have to pay taxes this year because everything is funded currently and we don't have a good use for it. We don't need it. Woo!
Well, the government has to spend useless stuff. I remember one time in the National Guard, they were like, we have this much funding and like we're set for the year, so we're just gonna throw a giant party. And they just bought a bunch of pizza. And so we were like, this is a celebration. We've been doing so well this year. We cut all the budgets.
We have had so much profit this year,
but if
we're gonna spend it all.
Yeah, but they're like, if we don't spend it, we're not gonna get it next year. That's the whole stupid part of it. It's like you should encourage budget, not spending to the limit, because then you cut it, and it's like, you should just be like, well, if you need that, whatever. But if you don't, then like we'll give you that much extra next year.
Yeah.
No.
Better yet,
we're just gonna cut
it's
it
like,
off.
oh, you have this much extra in your budget this year that you didn't have to spend on anything? Well, guess what? You have to keep that for next year, and we're only giving you the remainder.
Yeah. No, I mean,
smart budgeting.
it's all finance people, and who's the finance people? It is finance. It needs to be make sense, and numbers have to line up, and there's a certain way of doing finances, and if you don't do it this way,
numbers only technically have to line up on paper. So as long as they just say, oh yeah, we used the whole budget, that means the budget amount was correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Therefore, we can get that same amount next year.
Yep.
But
so let's just
if you really think about it, to
4,000
properly
pizzas.
budget, it's like, oh no, we had X amount extra this year, so we only need the amount that we spent last year minus the X amount that we still have.
Oh, speaking of money, I did the Build Dakota scholarship thing through Southeast Tech.
Oh yeah.
And so I worked at Marmon Energy for full time for a little over a year, and then decided to leave welding, which effectively removed me from the Build Dakota. So then I had to pay the remainder of that off, and so I let them know last August, and just this past week, 8 or 9 months later, they then send me the bill. So it took forever, which, okay, whatever. And then gave me a 1 week notice to pay it off, and didn't tell me how. It just showed up in an envelope and said, this amount is due at this location by this date. And that's all it was.
Oh my gosh.
So I emailed them and I'm like, yeah, so do I...
First off, what the crap?
It's like, you wait 8 or 9 months, give me 1 week notice, and don't even tell me how to pay off. I'm lucky that I don't have all kinds of bills to pay.
Yeah, you are extremely fortunate that I am responsible with my money.
So I emailed them. I'm like, okay, so does that mean I show up in person? Do I just send in a check? Is there an online option? They emailed me back and they were like, yeah, I mean, you can mail in a check, but you have to like tell us the date that you sent it. Otherwise, if it comes in too late, then we'll send you a bill from your bank. And I'm like, okay, how hard does this have to be? So I just went in person, and the guy that took care of it was super nice, super chill, and that was great. But everything else about the process...
Oh yeah, see, that's what I've noticed too. Like, because I have to do, there are certain payments that I have to do where I have to go to the building. It's like right there, but I just have to go to the building and give them a check. And anytime, like anything before that is just super annoying process. And then the moment I get there, they're like, "Oh no, oh yeah, see this was wrong, but we can just have you redo it right now." I was told if I didn't have this paperwork ready by today that I was going to be cost money, and they're like, "Oh no, you could just here, it's fine." And I'm like, "Thank you. Could I have just worked with you the whole time?"
But no, they were just like, "Oh, well, we've given him 8 or 9 months to save up money. We just expected that you were just expecting this the whole time.
He's been out of school
you must have the money." Yeah, it's been 8 or 9 months.
Here's the bill. Can you imagine if they did that with my house? They don't charge me for like a year, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you owe all of that."
You owe the whole.
Remember all those times that we didn't ask for money from you? Okay, we're asking for all that money now, and if we don't get it now, we're gonna kick you out of the house.
So yeah.
The sad part is it's not too far off.
when the bill showed up, I mean, they showed me all kinds of stuff about this 10-year payment plan I can take to pay off $2,800.
It's like, ooh,
no.
Yeah.
10 years? Are you kidding? 4% annual interest? That's stupid.
Unfortunately, we're at the point now where interest is not going to get any lower than that.
Yeah.
Because, like, I was going to refinance my house, and I didn't end up doing that because credit is the stupidest concept ever invented. But also because he was saying, yeah, even if you refinanced it now, your interest rate is going to be pretty much the same. Your payment's going to be a little lower, but your interest will not get much lower than 4%. And 4% a year ago was considered really bad.
Yeah.
There were like 2% interest rates last year.
Yeah.
Now it's at 4, and it's only going up.
Mm-hmm. Can't wait for this housing market to crash.
Woo! Cheap houses, though. They're gonna be cheap houses. Yeah. As opposed to paying, $20,000 over what it's worth.
Yeah, it's why.
Correction: $20,000 over the asking price, which is already $20,000 over what it's worth.
Yep.
My house is like worth. I think when they appraised it was like $180,000.
Wow.
Which is stupid.
Yeah.
It's a 900 square foot house.
That's a lot.
No, you just did that good of a job fixing it up.
I mean, yes, but speaking of which, I got to show you the basement.
Ooh, basement time.
Did you finish? I didn't get the trim done or anything, but you guys can see a little work. This is the basement. It's almost complete. By May, it's gonna be done because he's moving in.
So this is where we're gonna keep him.
I'm upstairs. I put all the work in this. I'm not gonna
Sammy needs his basement tool.
opens the door.
I want pizza bagel. Sammy wants pizza bagel.
But no, you go in there and it's just like a giant room, like
Yeah.
just wow.
A giant library.
Yeah. Just a spell. Yeah.
Basement. Yeah, got a bigger bedroom than the upstairs bedrooms. So that's gonna be nice. Yes, it's a surprisingly nice view considering that 2/3 of it is underground. We managed to get the window well out far enough that you can actually see. love this closet door because it's a bifold door, but it also swings out fully like a regular door. So you can close it like a regular door, and then rather than just have it be on a track and slowly sticking in the door, I can now fold it all the way to the side and have the full door jamb opening. It's beautiful. Very nice. The bathroom, light the fan on. So yes, my beautiful bathroom that I will have. Full custom shower. I'm so excited.
Just needs a toilet.
Yep, which I have. It's just in the storage room. Yeah, I have a nicer bathroom than some customers that I've worked for, which makes me very happy, especially when they're like in their 60s and retirement age and they have all this money set aside and they're like, oh yeah, we're doing the big project. It's like, cool, my bathroom's still nicer. So yeah,
What's this?
this is laundry room and storage, which
Got
is a
it.
disaster right now, but this is the only part of the
Oh,
house
that's
that
the
isn't going to
toilet.
be finished. But
I see.
yes, but I have to stain all the floor trim yet,
Mm.
and then cut it and put it in.
You going with like what's still what's
Yeah,
like
it's
around
gonna be
like
all
that
this stuff, and then I gotta put flooring on the stairs yet, which that's gonna be easy. That'll be like a 2-hour deal. And then I gotta put doorknobs on everything and finish the bathroom. But I think really it'll just be I gotta get trim done, and then I can move stuff down here because everything else is kind of non-essential. But
Right.
So yeah. And we managed to find 3 years later the exact same flooring as the upstairs. So it's
Really?
gonna all be the same.
Yeah.
It'll be sweet.
Took you 3 years. So what you just
Well,
they
because
didn't make it
we
for a
did it.
while?
No, because we did it for Alec on the main level, and then he moved out after 3 years.
No.
I moved in, and we're like, well, shoot, we need to finish the stairs,
Right.
and then we want to put a landing at the bottom of the stairs because if you got wet shoes and you come down, I don't want to be walking on the carpet. So we went into the same place. And we're like, yes, they have the same floor. We need that. We need it.
We need that right now.
Give it to me. Give it to me. I am very excited about the progression of my boat.
Cool. Yeah. It's gotta be very satisfying to
Oh man, you have no idea, especially from where it started. Holy crap.
makes me want to know how to do this stuff. That's one of my biggest regrets is not doing the thing that you can do at CTE where you just learn how to build a house.
Oh yeah.
I wish I would have done that.
It's never too late to learn because my dad didn't start doing this kind of stuff until after my sister was born. So yeah, he would have been for sure 36 before he started.
Nice.
Wow.
So yeah.
My grandpa, he did this kind of thing. This is totally up his alley. Honestly, both my grandpas. My dad, not so much. I mean, he can do it. He just doesn't like to make time for this kind of thing.
I mean, yeah, it is a lot of time investment for sure. But you're always gonna save money if you do it yourself.
That's the thing. That's why I want to
Unless you really don't know how to do it, then you're gonna cost yourself money in the long run.
Yeah.
'Cause
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, I framed up my whole basement. Cool, but you got rid of the load-bearing wall, so now the entire house is gonna collapse in a few years. Nice. We have seen that kind of stuff. It's like, oh wow, you took that out. Shouldn't have done that. Really should have. You should have talked to us. We're gonna fix this quick. Before you have family in the house currently, we need to we need to fix that. Whoa.
Yeah, this isn't Minecraft.
No, this is not Minecraft. You can't just like place a block wherever you want.
Yeah. Just take out this.
I mean, that's what they did at that apartment building in downtown,
Oh,
where the Lewis is
They
now.
Just said, oh yeah. Just
They
take out
brought
the
in a
wall.
construction crew from out of state, and they were posting pictures of the progress because they were redoing the basement and everything. And my dad was looking at the article, and he's like, "You got to be kidding me!" And he's like, "Look at this." I was like, "They took out a load-bearing wall, and then they took a picture of themselves, like, hey, coming along nice." And they took out a load-bearing wall, and then a week later, the whole building collapsed. And I think it killed 2 people,
Good night.
and like 4 dogs.
Couple dogs, yeah. And then
And so yeah, they were not allowed. They got banned from working in South Dakota
Wow.
for good reason. It's like, yeah, you kill somebody, that you're out of the job
And they had
for
some-
sure.
they had
You're lucky you didn't go to prison.
they had some severe fines for those.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Severe
not good.
I think the company actually went belly up, which
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure they don't have any work anymore.
yeah, I mean it's like you deserve it at that point. Like,
Yeah.
like
It's
come on,
like,
you're a
dude,
professional construction
really,
company.
you
need
call
to know
your,
better
or
than
you're
that.
at least advertising yourself as a, like, that's the thing. A lot of people don't understand. They're like, oh yeah, I can do this, but and usually you can, because usually it's relatively simple and whatever. But when it comes to like framing a house and structural stuff, if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna have a very bad time.
Yeah.
Now, maybe not right away, but eventually something's gonna go catastrophically wrong if you don't do the framing correctly. That's the most important thing, because you got to keep the house standing. Not everybody understands that.
It's not Lincoln Logs.
It's not
Lincoln Logs.
I mean, it kind of
It kind of is
though.
It's like the new version of Lincoln Logs.
It's like Lincoln Logs with much greater consequences.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, our idea of Lincoln Logs is, building a structure and then tossing something at it.
Yeah. Lincoln Logs.
That was the funnest part though. Was like building
yeah.
up and be like, oh,
All right, we've made this amazing tower. Mom got all of our pictures. We got it all set up with the innocent bystanders, and boom! Or we would try to get Rusty to run through it. That was great.
we took a boy and go.
Duke, do you want the ball?
Hey Duke, you want the ball?
Right through the bottles.
Oh
The
man.
things people do for YouTube.
Oh man.
It's great.
You put a camera in front of a group of friends, and then they all turn into like 12 IQ infants. Monkey.
So there's this roller coaster YouTuber that I follow from New Jersey. He calls himself El Toro Ryan, and his series is Coaster Idiots.
Okay.
And he did this all by himself. He flew in one day. He flew from New Jersey to Minneapolis, went to Valley Fair and Nickelodeon Universe in the Mall of America in the same day, and flew back.
Oh my. That's quite the trip.
It was something he calls a credit run, where he's just grabbing coaster credits.
Yeah, just to say he did.
You ride the coaster, you get the credit. That's how it works.
Yep, that's how it works.
And they call themselves Coaster Idiots because they'll do almost anything for a credit. They'll
steal children to go on kiddie coasters.
Yeah, like kiddie coasters where you can't ride unless you have a child. They'll be like,
Can I borrow your son? I really want to get the coaster credit.
There's
What?
There's this one time they were in Mexico, and they wanted to ride this kiddie coaster, and they had to convince a ride operator to let them on. And eventually he gave in. It was like against park policy, but it's in Mexico, so nobody really cares. And
I'm sorry, sir. It's against park policy. Here's a 20.
no, literally, he handed them a 20. That's what got them on. He handed them
Enjoy
a 20.
the ride.
It's not even
There's a
a
Modelo.
okay, but here's the thing.
Yeah, enjoy the ride and this beer.
Here's the thing, though. After the ride, so they're restrained, right?
Yeah.
So they come back to the station, and the ride operator, without releasing them, goes, "Oh, I have to go use the bathroom first," and just left. Left them strapped in. There's nothing they could do.
I gotta make sure they don't want their money back. It just runs off. They never saw him again.
And then like 20 minutes later, he comes back and lets them go. But yeah, like for a hot minute, they were just like stuck on this kiddie coaster.
Wow.
Yeah. The guy has like over 500 different roller coasters. I'm at 192.
Wow. I am maybe in the double digits. Maybe.
At like 5.
Well, we gotta get out to
We
Cedar
gotta
Point.
Get you to Cedar Point, Sam. I think you would love it. It's awesome.
Out of all the roller coasters I've ridden, Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point is my number one.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Yep.
What does that one do?
That's the one we were telling you about before, where it's like the wooden hybrid one that goes down.
They all go down.
Yeah, it's a roller
It goes
coaster.
up,
90 degrees.
and then it goes down.
And the
Yeah,
90
it's the
degrees
90 degree one. You don't even, dude. Trust me. Like I hate dropping in rides.
Oh yeah, no.
I hate it so much.
That one's so fast. I'm
It's
sure
so
it probably
good.
doesn't even,
Oh
yeah,
man,
yeah.
it's so fun.
Well,
I-
it's
I remember Hades, and that one was basically 90 degrees.
Hades.
Olympus,
Mount Olympus.
Have you ridden Hades 360 or the original one?
I don't know, the one
The-
that goes
the-
under the parking lot.
Okay, does it go upside down?
It goes to like the corkscrew.
Okay, so
Oh,
it's
okay.
Hades 360.
Yeah.
Yeah, that funny story about that one. So when you come out of the tunnel and you go through the barrel roll, they have this wooden railing that's there that if you reach out your hand far enough, you can actually smack it. I would not suggest trying it because you might lose your hand, but people have hit it before.
Oh man.
Mount Olympus, their safety standards are just something else. There was, when we went there was literally a mechanic just like walking around on the brake run, like when we were on it.
Oh man.
It's a
But-
modern day action park.
Yeah, I mean seriously, and like just their trains, like on their like Zeus, like their older wooden coasters, like you just look around, it's all rusted and chewed up, and
We have a nice new ride. We call it the Slayer, and to really put everyone in the mood, here's your complimentary knife. Everybody can hold these while on the ride.
yeah.
Recommend swinging around.
No.
Well, you will be anyways.
Please remember to keep hands and feet inside the vehicle if you feel like it.
Everything I've been telling you is optional.
This is a libertarian park.
Honestly, we will start it if you haven't lowered your seat bar. We will start it. It's all up to you.
I got a 15-minute break in like.
Dude, when you
10
paid for the
minutes, so-
ticket, you signed the e-waiver that we sent in the email. You didn't know that, but you did.
We'll
We are not liable at all.
We'll also teach you how to operate the ride. So if I go on a restroom break, here's the
Yes.
starts the
Little
coaster.
Timmy, it's so easy a child could do it. In fact, I'll be right back. Timmy, you got this.
Just press the button, jump into the coaster. As an evaluation.
He comes back, they've gone through it like 7 times.
Here's the other.
One of them died.
Here's the other crazy thing about Mount Olympus. At the front of the park, their Cyclops roller coaster, it goes like so close to the pathway you can actually reach your hand through the railing and touch the track.
Yeah.
I've seen a roller coaster YouTuber do it. It was the same guy.
Oh my
Coaster,
gosh.
the coaster, one of the coaster idiot guys. El Toro
That
Ryan.
is terrifying.
Honestly, I would highly suggest like watching El Toro Ryan's videos. I mean, even if like roller coasters aren't your thing, he's just really entertaining.
They're hilarious.
Yeah, they're just funny.
Oh man.
Yeah. He calls himself El Toro Ryan because he used to work as a ride operator at Six Flags Great Adventure, and his main roller coaster he operated was El Toro, and whenever they talked to him on the radio, his call signal had to be El Toro Ryan because he had to name the ride and then his name so they knew where he was and who was talking. And so that it kind of became known as El Toro Ryan.
Toro Ryan.
And so he just named his YouTube channel El Toro Ryan.
Yeah, and now, because Ivan is inspired, now we're going on these credit runs ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, we went to Texas last year. We went to Florida this
Yep.
year. Universal Studios.
In Texas, we drove. We were gonna be there for 2 days, both days at Six Flags over Texas in the Dallas area, and we went there one day, but the second day was rain thunderstorms all day. But we realized that 4 hours away there's a Six Flags down in San Antonio, Texas. So we drove 4 hours to spend 3 hours there because they closed early too because of rain, and then drove 4 hours back in the same day. So yeah, that's the kind of things.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done it with Valley Fair too. We'll drive like 4 hours there, spend 6 hours at Valley Fair, and then drive 4 hours back, so that we don't have to stay at a hotel.
Yep.
Yeah. you could do it. We would probably do it with Worlds of Fun too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
City.
Worlds of Fun is actually pretty close. All you gotta do is just blast south on Interstate 29, and you're there.
Yeah.
Kansas City.
Yeah. Kansas City.
Yeah.
It's a lot like Valley Fair. They're really similar parks. I mean,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
I actually Valley Fair has a better atmosphere if you ask me, and maybe a slightly better ride collection, but honestly, it's really comparable. It's pretty similar.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same.
We should really do a road trip. Just to get him to see your plan. Because, oh man.
Just
Dude, have you heard of Top Thrill Dragster?
Nope. Not doing it.
No.
I mean, nope is it. I'm not doing that. If he won't do it, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that. No way.
No.
Jose. Not
Nope.
at all.
Will
Not
you-
a chance.
Will you do Millennium Force?
Which one's Millennium?
It's
The
the
big
big
blue
blue one.
Oh, I've done Millennium.
Yeah.
The big blue one. Everybody's like,
'Cause
oh
that
yeah,
one's-
the big
'cause
blue
how
one.
tall is that one? That one's like
310.
Yeah, 300. Because it goes Steel Vengeance, which is 200, and then Millennium Force, and then Top Thrill Dragster.
This is 420 feet. It's only 110 feet tall.
Yeah, it's only another fall that could kill you on its own.
yeah, right.
Yeah, you're not even up there for like long enough to realize.
I
it.
know, but I can't, like, I get so psyched out looking at it. Because it's like, I'm looking at it and it's like, oh, I can see it moving. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no,
The entire starter
Yeah, because you're just sitting there, people are waiting to go on it, and they're like, all right, we're going to go in about 10 seconds. And then I can just look up and see it going, and I'm like, well, it's nice knowing you folks. I hope you
that ride's been
revised
open.
your will before this trip.
It's been open and running since 2003.
Yeah.
So, but
Perfect amount of time to wear away and break.
That one bolt that holds the whole thing up.
Speaking of which, though, actually, the ride is closed for the entire year because there was an accident on it last year. But here's what it was.
See, there you go. That's all I needed to hear.
So,
Well, but actually,
due to the pandemic, their maintenance was just different, altered their process,
see, never do that.
which caused them to miss things they wouldn't otherwise miss, and there was one loose bolt on the train itself that caused this metal fin.
It was some sort of plate.
Yeah, like a metal plate, like maybe about yay big, to fly off the train, and it struck a woman in the queue in the head, sent her to the hospital. Nobody on the ride was hurt. Nothing about the ride experience itself was altered. It was just a piece of the train came flying off.
That's the regular experience.
Get killed. Right. She didn't die though.
No, but she
That's
was severely injured and is still recovering from that. So the Ohio, I don't know, Department of Safety or whatever it is,
Agriculture.
came in and inspected the ride and determined that
Bureaucracy.
it determined that Cedar Point wasn't at fault, but they just had to make sure it was updated.
In other words, they let them go.
Yeah, they
We're
let
gonna
them
let
go.
you off with a warning.
Yeah.
You better fix this. Yeah, you better fix it. Okay. Yeah, you better fix it. Okay. All right.
You promised to do that.
Yeah. You promised. Okay.
Okay.
You swear? All right. All right.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah. No, you don't have to pay for a
Run it
hospital bill. You don't have to pay for a hospital bill.
No.
No.
Cedar
That's
Point-
your money. And
They
Was it
bought the
you-
ticket.
Yeah. Let's be honest here. I mean, they signed the waiver. They signed it. I see their signature. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
You be safe now. Have a safe and fun day. Remember, safety first, fun second. All right. Finger pistols. Walk out.
See you next week.
Come back next week. Oh, I haven't gotten to it yet. Oh, they're busy. I understand.
busy.
Understandable. Yeah. Oh, he's on a smoke break. Yeah, let him finish that first, and
It's
then he'll
fine.
get to it.
It's
Yeah.
Oh man. But no. In all seriousness, though, Sam, we're not doing that one. But
Yeah, no.
we should get you to Cedar Point because they have such good coasters. Especially, I think you would really like Gatekeeper because it is.
I've heard that one's
Oh
pretty
man,
good.
because you hang below it,
Right.
so there's
and
no
it's like
throwing your head.
Yeah,
It's
it's like
just
Such a
smooth.
smooth ride.
Mhm.
It's so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you would enjoy it. It's really fun.
so it's like one of those like where the track is above you and then you're
Yeah.
riding on like one of those. like,
Actually, you
Yeah.
ride on the side, so there's
yeah.
nothing above you or below you.
Right, because it's the tracks in the middle, and then you have the two
Yeah,
seats.
it's
hanging
what
down.
what people call a wing coaster.
Yeah.
And the
Boom,
first,
boom.
it's, when it opened, it doesn't.
They just have like an Allen wrench key that is holding the entire.
No, worse
cart
than that,
on.
it's just one of those pins that they put through with the bobby pin through it.
Except they didn't have a bobby pin, so they put a paper clip.
That's what always psychs me out about the zipper. Like the
Oh,
zipper
yeah,
at
yeah,
Carnival,
that's right.
It's literally a bobby pin. That's like
That's
a
a
millimeter
county
thick.
fair though. That's a
Okay,
little different.
I
but-
was in line for the zipper
But yes.
once when I saw one of the doors fling open. Nobody was in it, but there were people in other cars. We stood in line.
I've done the zipper like twice, and I refuse to go on it after that. I'm like, and one time I was at the last Swim Empire fair that I went to, and there was like this ride that would like twirl you around in a circle, and it was just like you just go around in a circle, and like the brake system started smoking while it was going.
Yeah.
So they stopped it pretty fast. And just two Mexican guys just go, oh, it's almost dead. Just hitting you with a hammer.
grabs a wrench, starts hitting it.
I'm like, it's smoking! It's smoking!
The brake
That means
system.
bad! That means don't do anything to it! And then like they let it sit for 20 minutes and let people on again! And I was like, did you not see it smoking? Don't get on it! And they're just like, oh, they just start going. I'm like, no! Oh!
Just needs a little grease.
It brought me back to like
Oh!
when Gimli walks into Isengard and sees Pippin and Meriadoc sitting there eating and smoking. He's like,
Eating and smoking.
I'm smoking. Oh, that the difference is though that's a county fair.
Yeah,
There is no.
There is no safety protocol at a county fair.
I know.
They're like, yeah, we built it. We had our son and his friends build it
Yeah.
because we didn't have time.
put
We
this up in a
we were
day.
busy setting up the corn dog
Should be
stand.
good.
So we had the middle schoolers put the ride together.
And they got approval from the Department of Agriculture, the same bureaucracy that approved stuff through.
Looks like it's fine. It's fine. I mean, they bought the ticket, right? They know what they're getting into. It's a county.
These brakes
fair.
at Dakota, I see that
Hey.
brake pad is at like 2 millimeters.
It's only fun if you get a scar. Am I right?
I mean, you'll
Yeah.
be gone in a few days anyways
Yeah.
in a different state.
We're all mortal. We're all gonna die sometime. Might as well be at the fair.
Might as well die with everything.
I love the zipper though. It's such a fun ride.
It's
as long
one of
as
my
you-
favorites just because I rode it with Sam. And oh man, that was so funny. I'm not gonna lie, that was really funny.
Oh, you're just freaking out.
Oh, it was great.
Dude.
Do you get nauseous on rides? Or do
No,
you
I
get,
just don't like it.
Not comfortable in it.
I'm like holding up for dear life, like no, no! And I see that there's a bobby pin on the thing, and that's what determines whether I live or die or get flung out.
into the cage, closed the door, and we're like, and he's like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this. And he looks over at like the mechanism that
Yep.
pins it to the bar, and he's like, the only thing holding us on is a pin. It's one pin.
Just this tiny pin. I'm like, I'm gonna die. Oh yeah, no, I can do a lot of things, and but I just can't do. I mean, roller coasters. It only scares me when it's like sketchy like that. Where
Yes.
it's like there's
That's
literally
very
like
true.
that, and if that gives out,
Yeah.
it's going to fling open, and then there's no like seatbelts.
Yeah.
Like the pressure from the door that's being held by the tiny pin.
And there's only
keeping me
one
in.
person monitoring the ride.
Yeah, and he's
Overweight.
a carny.
And,
He's a carny. Like no, that's all you have to say. He's a carny. He's
And I'm
probably
currently
got like
drunk. And
probably like 4 felonies in different states. That he's just on the run, at a carnival, and
he's the zipper killer.
Or he's a Mexican and he doesn't understand what I'm saying anyways. No offense to them, but there's a language barrier there.
There
They don't
is.
know English. And it's like, stop! Comprendo?
the ride is on fire. Okay. Oh, el fuego! Ah, muy bueno!
I'm a talkie, no, it's like so. Like,
Oh, man.
I'm not trying to be racist, but no!
It's just a thing that happens.
But like professional theme parks like that,
It's a lot better, I will say.
It's-
The
I
experience.
feel
is
better,
way
like about it, and I'm not like as worried. But at the same time, it's like it's a 20-year-old kid that's controlling the ride. It's not, but then again, it's not up to the controls most of the time.
Yeah.
The
It's like the
actual
kid's job is just,
structure.
okay, I'm going to push the button to initiate.
And if anything
That's
happens,
my job.
I have the emergency brake here. Okay.
Eh.
You got the emergency brake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Will they actually know what's happening? Well, yeah, but will it do anything? Probably not.
This is the thing I love about talking about roller coasters is whenever I talk about roller coasters to anyone who isn't a self-proclaimed roller coaster enthusiast, it always comes back to ride safety. It's never about the roller coaster rides themselves.
I have discovered lately, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I have trained my brain to the point where I no longer think about whether or not what I'm doing is safe, which is probably not
That's
the
called
best
being-
idea.
As long as it's used in the right
But it's like,
situation.
I'm still like, it's like, oh, I need you to go walk out onto this roof that has no paneling on it, it's just the rafters, and we need you to go screw that in, because currently this rafter is not tied to anything, so we need you to walk out onto it and then screw it down into the rest of the roof. I'm like, okay. So I go do
Yeah.
that. And it's like, don't think about the fact that, I'm 30 feet up in the air, and the only thing holding me onto this roof is a rafter that's not tied to anything.
Well, I ran into that one.
Or like I'll get into, or like I'll have a near car accident, and you would think, oh, heart's pumping and and I'm freaking out. No,
Yeah.
I almost get in a car wreck and I'm like, well, that could have sucked.
Yeah.
And I think about it after the fact. I'm like, I probably should have been more concerned about that. Do I just not care?
I've run it because when I worked at Marmon Energy, like we had to like plasma out the entire can so that there was like so we could get the proper penetration, and it's literally just a giant. Like you see how big these windmill towers are, so you can imagine like the size that this laser has to be, and it's literally just shooting hot metal everywhere. And I'm like, it's rolling above me. So at a certain point, it's above me, and there's like hot, like
Molten metal.
And like sometimes it falls and just like lands on my helmet, and then falls onto the ground. I'm just like,
Yeah, it's like, oh, something landed on. Oh, gross. Yeah, that's the thing.
Molten metal!
And then on top of that, then we get on this like sketchy, sub-arc welder that was pulled from a junkyard to go on top of the can, and I'm harnessed in obviously, but it's like, this thing's like wobbling and,
Yeah. There's a point where it's like you do anything long enough, and it's like you no longer are concerned about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I did that for I worked full time for a year, but I did that for like a year and a half.
Boy,
Part time and full time.
Like we would do it where my dad and I he would put me in the bucket of a skid loader, lift me up in the air, and be like, cut that 10-inch round branch off that tree while you're standing under it. It's like, okay, and then the branch falls and you got like leaves and twigs hitting you and you're standing up in a bucket. It's like, you good? Yeah. Never mind the fact I could have killed myself.
yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know. My dad has gotten me into enough situations in work anyway where it's like, all right, I need you to do something really sketchy for a second. Okay. So now I don't care anymore. Like, we were going to a family camping trip, and I was riding in the car with Alec and Brianna, and Alec was like, this semi's going so slow, we need to pass this semi. So he pulls out and tries to pass the semi, but his car kit isn't getting much acceleration because it's an old car. And we're driving, trying to pass this thing, and then a pickup truck comes flying around the corner.
Oh.
And it's like that. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie RV, but it's that exact scene where they just get around the semi, and then whoa, car goes flying by. And Alec and Brian are like, "Oh my gosh, did you see that?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's not do that."
I feel like a
Maybe not do that.
I feel like a semi truck driver should be able to look in the mirror and see that happening and just slow down.
You'd think,
And just
but
allow it to.
when you
But the
do
thing
it,
is, especially when you're moving slow, if you're in their blind spot for like any long period of time, they just assume you're not there because they have the blind spot. They can't see you anyway.
Plus, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's at the end of the day, it's the truck's fault. It's not the
Well,
semi-truck's fault.
it's the truck and our fault. It's
Yeah.
not the semi truck's
Yeah, the
fault.
semi-truck is just be driving there.
Because we decided, oh, we should try and pass this guy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But yeah, well, that's sketchy.
yeah,
That-
passed through, and Alex like, holy crap, we might have to pull over for a second. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess we could have died there, couldn't we?
Yeah, pull over and then let the semi pass
Yeah.
again, and then have to do it
All right,
again.
back to start. Back to point way. Let's
Brother.
start over. But yeah, I was like, huh. I probably should have been scared about that. as it was
See your
happening,
friends.
but